Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. But of course, if you are children of all ages, what are you still doing up at 10 p.m. if you're on the East Coast? Of course, if you're not on the East Coast, then forget what I just said. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, your host here at the new Cosmic Knowledge Channel. I'm very, very happy that you're here. It makes me feel good to know that you're here seeking after new cosmic knowledge and checking out what we've got going on here. It's one show after another, and it really is designed to bring you to the place where you're getting knowledge that has been in abeyance, knowledge that has been in many cases fought against, and to bring you knowledge that you're not going to get most likely anywhere else. I don't really talk about things that anybody else talks about. And our goal and our mission is to bring you stuff that you can't get anywhere else. And that's what I'm here for. I believe in the hereafter, and that's what I'm here after. So tonight, we're going to press on with number 25 in our teachings of the original teachings of the Master. Now, this started out the original teachings of Yeshua. This started out the original teaching, then turned into the original teachings of the Christ. And now, as it's 3 a.m. in the UK, we're talking about the original teachings of the Master. So, Jeff, why do you keep changing? Well, I keep changing because I keep learning. It's pretty much just that simple. I keep changing because I keep learning. At least I try to keep learning. And I'm at a place in my life where I'm learning new things. Atlanta, GA. I'm seeing new challenges in my life, and I'm trying to see new things from different perspectives. And part of that is learning to grow and develop. The man's name, Southern Oklahoma. The man's name was not Jesus. The man's name was not Yeshua, and they really didn't call him the Christ. So here we are. Hello, Michelle Tarver. Talking about the original teachings of the Master. So we're talking about the teachings of that guy that some people call Jesus, some people call the Christ, some people call Yeshua, but he really is, hello, Mark Center Saint, the Master. And that's who we're talking about. We're talking about his teachings, but we're talking about not teachings about him, not the things people say about him, not the things people write about him, but the teachings that came out of his very own mouth. And those teachings in chronological order. So it's a survey of the original teachings of the Master in chronological order. If you had been a master, if you'd been a groupie of this guy back in AD 30, 31, 32, 33, whenever it was, and you had followed him and heard everything he said, this is what it would be like. So we're groupies. I think Wayne said, do you have a hippie soul? Well, this is groupies. We are groupies of the Master, and we're following him. Boom, 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 boom. What he said in the order that he said it, so we can understand what he meant. Because don't think that he didn't. Thank you. I've been out at the beach a lot. Don't tell me that he didn't know what he was saying. Don't tell me that he didn't know what he was doing and that he didn't do things in a specific order for a specific reason. So tonight we continue with number 25 in the original teachings of the Master. So we'll go into the biblical scriptures right now. And you know what? Love them, hate them, good, bad, indifferent. They do contain the most convenient collaboration of the teachings of the Master. And they are the most familiar collaboration of the teachings of the Master. And another good reason for dropping the idea of Yeshua, Jesus, or the Master, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't want to hear anything that has anything to do with Jesus. They don't want to hear anything that has anything to do with Yeshua. They don't want anything that has anything to do with the Christ, because it's been so bastardized. It's been so demonized, and there's so many horrible, terrible, nasty, hypocritical, mean, vindictive people saying they're connected with the Christ and Jesus and Yeshua, that, there's people that want to hear this. There's people that need to hear this, and they hear anything that even sounds like that, and they're just like, I'm out of here. So talking about the original teachings of the master, to me, makes sense. And this one that we're going to share tonight, as we go again in chronological order, this to me is really super exciting. This to me really turns me on, if you will. This to me really excites me. And this is where the master, he goes to a church, a gathering in Nazareth, and they asked him to read a portion of the scriptures. And he turns to this portion, which was originally written in Isaiah. And it says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he's anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those that are bruised, and to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Now, let's go back up here, and I know that use of the word Lord is bothersome. It's bothersome to me, frankly. Let's look at the original and see exactly what he was saying. He was saying, the Spirit of, and it does say Lord. This word usually relates to the Lord, the rat bastard. I choose to think that this is profitable scripture, and that this is just an intentionally bad translation. It should be theos in my estimation, because I believe the master's saying that the spirit of the theos, the spirit of the Elohim, is upon me, because the message that follows, it's not the message of the Lord. The things that the master says that he's come to do aren't things that the Lord does. They're not ways that the Lord is characterized by. They're not actions that the Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah, who I call the rat bastard because he was born without a father, the one that the Christ said, your daddy is the devil, he's been a liar and a murderer from the beginning, that one. These actions and attributes and beautiful teachings that follow in this section are not teachings of the Lord. That's why I say, based on context, this word has been hijacked. It's supposed to be theos, which relates generally in the New Testament to the Elohim. Kairos relates generally in the New Testament to the rat bastard. So I believe the Christ is saying, the spirit of the Elohim is upon me. And he says that he has been anointed by this entity. We know that he's not anointed by the Lord. He's walking in the power and the spirit of the Elohim and the inexpressible ones. What does anointed mean? As we go here to 55:48, to be consecrated. We know that the master was not consecrated by Yahweh, Jehovah, the Lord, the rat bastard. He wasn't. Yaldabaoth. So we know this isn't the Lord. So let's just accept that or don't accept it, but I'm accepting it and I'm moving on. The spirit of the Elohim is upon me because I have been anointed. I've been given the commission. I've been given the job to do what? To preach good news. I've been given the job to bring good news. To bring good news. If you know anything about Yahweh, he's not a bringer of good news. He's a bringer of you're full of original sin news. He's a bringer of you're going to hell if you don't do exactly what I say news. He's the bringer of cut off the end of your penis news. He's the bringer of stone people news. He's the bringer of blood sacrifice news. None of those are good news. But here is the master, and the master says, look, I've been given a commission by the almighty ones, the inexpressible ones. I've been given a commission to come here and give the world good news. I believe that Christ came here, and it says that he's the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but by him. The real Greek says he brought the best of all the ways, the best of all the truths that lead to life and life more abundant. The Christ or the master said, "Come unto me, all of you that are weak and heavy laden, I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. My yoke's easy, my burden's light." Look at that in the Greek. Come unto me, all of you that are weighed down by religious ritual and burden, and I will give you rest. The Lord's all about religious ritual and burden. Yahweh's all about religious ritual and burden. The Christ is about, the master is about saying, let me give you some good news. Let me give you good news that you're not born with original sin. Let me give you good news that you're filled with the spark of divinity within. Let me give you good news that you don't have to perform blood sacrifice anymore. Let me give you good news that you don't have to perform cannibalism anymore. Let me give you good news that you don't have to walk into a building with a dead guy on a stick or a dead guy stick and give him 10, 20% of your money, waste 2-3 hours of your life there every week, confess to a man in a dress who's doing horrible, despicable, unsightly things himself. You don't have to feel the guilt. You don't have to feel the control. Because there is no mediator between the divine and you. Because there's no difference between the divine and you. There's a nugget for you just for free. He came to declare good news. And more than anything else, I'm here to declare good news. Jeff, what's your main message? My main message is you are not filled with original sin. You've got the spark of divinity within. The true message of the master has been co-opted and morphed, bastardized into a fear and guilt control matrix that you can leave anytime you want and live a life that is more abundant. You can be free and free indeed. You can have peace that passes all understanding. That's my message. And I don't mind saying that was the message of the master. And I don't mind saying that's not a message that you hear very much anymore. I don't mind saying that the things that we share on the New Cosmic Knowledge channel, you haven't heard for 2,000 years and you won't hear anywhere else. We, like I say we now because it's Sandra and I and 13,000 plus of my closest friends, we are here to share the good news. No original sin, spark of divinity within, no blood sacrifice, baptism if you feel like you need a ceremony. You don't have to have money and connections. You don't have to go to a place to get right with the divine. You're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. That's good news. And we are in the good news business, and cousin, Bidness is a Boomin. That's why I do what I do. And that's what we do here at the New Cosmic Knowledge channel. I'm preaching good news to the poor, declaring good news to the poor. What does he mean by the poor here? Let's look at it. Those that are poor, those that are destitute, both in money and in spirituality. Those that are beggars in money or beggars in spirituality. So we need to have a message for the poor. And it just so happens that I do have a message for the poor, even for the poor that are CEOs, even for the poor that's running their own business, even for the poor that's sitting in a corner office, even for the poor that's got their own plane, even for the poor that's sitting in a cubicle, even for the poor that's at the top of the sales board, or the poor that is the department chairman, or the poor that barely has enough money to make it from week to week, the poor that has too much money month at the end of the money. Here's the good message to the financially poor. Whether you have a lot of money in your bank account or not, you can still be financially poor. Discover your great basic purpose. Discover what you're here for. Discover why you were placed into this existence. Discover what you came here to do. Plainly discover why you're here. And if you can find your great basic purpose, and you're talking to, listening to, watching a dude that's found it, and I know what I'm talking about, you'll never work another day in your life. I've never worked more hours in my life for less money, but I've never been more rich. I found my great basic purpose. That was good news to me. I was poor even though I was making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. I was poor. Now, sometimes I have to get up on top of a nickel to be able to see the top of a dime, but I'm rich. I'm rich. So that's good news for the financially poor. What about the spiritually poor? Those that are being leveraged and taken advantage of by religion. We just said he gave you some good news. Come unto me. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to slave for me. You don't have to confess to me. You don't have to cry to me. Just come and I will take your burdens away. Good news to the poor in spirit. Good news to those that don't have financial abundance in their lives yet. And he's also come, this is what the message of the master is, to heal. Heal's pretty easy, heal. To heal the broken in heart, broken, crushed, in pieces, shattered, crushed, bruised in heart. I don't have to sit on here and talk till 11 o'clock to convince you of that scenario, because many of you are living it right now. You're bruised, you're crushed, you're shattered, you feel like you've been ground to pieces, and you need healing for your heart. You need to hear this good news that you're not a sinner. You need to hear this good news that you don't have original sin. You need to hear this good news that you got the spark of divinity within. You need to hear this good news that there's life and life more abundant. You need to hear this good news that there's peace and peace that passes all understanding. And all it takes is to get into a right relationship with the master and have an accurate understanding of some very basic principles. And that's what I do. That's what we do. We give good news. We give good news to the poor. We heal broken hearts. We heal broken bodies. I still am able to heal and do that for you. We proclaim to captives deliverance. What is a captive? A prisoner. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the deliverance, proclaiming Bidness, and Bidness is a booming. Earlier today, there was 3, 4, 5, 6 testimonies writing the same thing. I came here as a troll. I hated Jeff. Now I'm free. I'm going to start. I need to start. I hate to toot my own horn. I really do. I know you don't believe I hate it, but I do hate it. But I need to start showing some of these letters and some of these testimonials and some of these beautiful, it touches me. Every day, the New Cosmic Knowledge Channel brings deliverance to people that are prisoners. Every day, Sandra D'Angelo is bringing deliverance to people that are prisoners. Every day, I'm bringing deliverance to people that are prisoners. And every day, you, by being here, and by those of you that use the MYSTECH and the rods and other things, by your support, you're allowing us to bring deliverance to these prisoners. I still do a lot of paranormal work. We're bringing deliverance. You've seen us on film set captive spirits free. You haven't seen this on film, but I still do entity cleansing from people and places. Help the blind recover their sight. We do it all the time. Help you realize who you are, what you are. We set the oppressed free in deliverance. This is really talking about the demonically oppressed, if that's the way you want to say it, in deliverance. We do that too. Why do we do it? Because it was the message of the master to do it. And this is to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And again, it's not the Lord's favor. It's the Elohim's favor. The accepted. To proclaim the acceptance of and the year of the Elohim. What does that mean? That means that we're here, and I didn't share that with you, but that's okay. That means that we're here to it really was talking about the year of Jubilee. Come every 70 years. All debts are canceled. All land is returned to its deeded owner, original deeded owner. You're set free. And this is what the master was talking about when he says, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. We're here talking about canceling spirit contracts. We're here talking about canceling this sinner's prayer that you prayed. We're here talking about canceling spiritual entanglements. And even if you sold your soul, canceling all of this garbage that is weighing you down and proclaiming the jubilee, the freedom of the Elohim into your life. That's what we're all about. I've got 3 appointments this week that are all about that, getting folks free. Every broadcast we do is about getting folks free. Jeff, why do you do what you do? Well, it's really simple why I do what I do. I do what I do because I'm doing my very best to do what the master did. And the master said very plainly and very simply and very succinctly, the master said, look, yo, I am here. I've been given a message to give good news to people, poor people, to heal brokenhearted people, to preach deliverance to captives of religiosity, and those that are afflicted by entities, to recover the sight of those that have forgotten who they are. And even in some cases, I have those that are really blind. And to set at liberty those that are bruised, to set people free from the fear and guilt control matrix. And to preach, to declare the jubilee of the Elohim. You are free. You are free indeed. You just need to realize it. That's the message of the master. And that's why that's my message, because I'm trying to do what the master has told me to do, what the master has empowered me to do, and you're helping me do the do. You're part of doing this do. And I appreciate you more than you will ever know. More than you will ever know. Quick look at the chat room. I want to give you the honor of responding to you. Just out of class, Atlanta, Oklahoma, Florida, another Atlanta, another Georgia, another Atlanta. We are blowing up the ATL tonight. Thank you. You're welcome. Marcella got her MYSTECH bands. Yahweh is the demiurge, yes. We are filled with the spark of divinity. We're done worshiping a dead dude on a stick. The spark of life. This MYSTECH stuff really works. Thank you. Stop being lazy and get your derriere to work. Oh, it's beautiful stuff. I'm glowing. The poor spirit was crushed. Now she's starting to heal. Thank you so much. Jesus wasn't a food pantry. He was feeding truth to those starving for truth. I like that. Thank you for helping spread the good news. Thank you for helping spread the good news. Thank you, Breaking Dawn. Deborah L. Smith, who I'm going to be talking with this week. Another MYSTECH is really amazing. Your channel has helped me. And that's Michelle, and she also has her bracelets. Excellent. This is great. I'm the Underground Soul Train. Thanks for your messages. Thank you. South Carolina. North Carolina. So why does Jeff do what he does? Because he's a real brother. That's why. Thank you, Mark. I do my best. And it's so great to have the help and the support of all of you. And that is number 25 in the original teachings of the Master. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is the new Cosmic Knowledge Channel. San Diego is in the house. Thank you for being here. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. You're the Gospel Truth Army. I salute you. Arizona. Guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. Ask questions, question answers. Never forget, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. All you got to do is unindoctrinate yourself.